The Dead Poets Society. The famous poet Callum Grey was found dead in a secluded cabin, his last manuscript beside him, unfinished, as fog rolled across the damp countryside. A final poem, written in his neat, sloping handwriting, lay beside his body, filled with cryptic lines that hinted at mysteries untold. Rumors spread through the village, and the cabin soon became a dark legend, drawing curious minds and avid fans from all over the country. Wren, a former student of Callum's and a poet herself, arrived to mourn but also to understand the secrets hidden in her mentor's last words. Jules, a relentless literary critic with a reputation for unearthing subtext, vowed to solve the mystery in Callum's final lines. Alaric, a seasoned detective unaccustomed to the literary world, was called in to investigate whether Callum's death was murder or suicide. The cabin, set atop a hill covered in mist, felt cold and isolated, like a place time had forgotten, adding to its grim allure. Alaric, Wren, and Jules gathered around the final poem, each line seeming to twist and turn, concealing secrets within secrets. Words are weapons, Callum once told Wren, a phrase she now recalled with an uneasy shiver as she stared at the ominous verses. Jules couldn't resist an analysis, picking apart each line, each metaphor, as if the words would reveal Callum's last, desperate plea. Alaric observed the scholar's intensity, wondering if they were trying to solve a mystery or if the mystery had already consumed them. One line in particular haunted them all: by words, I am undone, by ink, my death begun, a cryptic phrase that felt loaded with intent. The villagers spoke of Callum's rivalries, whispering about a nameless poet who envied Callum's fame and sought to undermine him. Wren remembered the tension between Callum and his rival, how Callum would tense up whenever his name was mentioned. Jules theorized that Callum's final poem might be a puzzle left to torment or taunt his rival, a final act of literary defiance. Alaric grew frustrated as the case turned more literary than logical, his instincts faltering in the face of riddles and metaphors. Wren found herself drawn to a particular line, one Callum had often said to her, "Ink does not lie, yet it can deceive." Alaric pored over Callum's journals, hoping they'd offer clues, but they were filled with half-written verses and fragmented thoughts. The deeper they delved, the more the poem's words seemed to swirl into something alive, something that demanded to be solved. Jules noticed oddities in the poem's structure, hidden codes he believed were designed to lead them somewhere specific. A particular pattern in the stanzas hinted at a location, and Alaric grew hopeful that they were finally closing in on the truth. Following the clues, they found themselves at a desolate field, where Callum often wrote, a place known only to a few. Wren recalled Callum's words about the field, "It's where I feel close to death and life both, where words come alive." They searched the area and found a torn page from Callum's manuscript, a verse that read, "To seek me here is to find him near." Alaric realized that Callum's rival must have followed him here, stalking him in hopes of sabotaging his final masterpiece. Wren felt a chill as she pondered the extent of envy that drove someone to this, the rivalry that had turned lethal. Jules suspected that Callum's rival had somehow altered the final poem, twisting its lines to send them on a false trail. The more they analyzed, the more certain Jules became that the poem was not entirely Callum's, that someone else had tampered with it. Alaric interviewed villagers who confirmed sightings of a stranger around Callum's cabin, lurking in the shadows. An elderly woman remembered seeing Callum argue with a man days before his death, a man she now suspected was the rival poet. Wren began to doubt every line of the poem, every phrase, as if the words themselves were tools in the rival's deadly game. Alaric retraced Callum's last steps, visiting the places where the poet had found solace and inspiration in his final days. The clues led them to a decrepit inn where Callum and his rival were rumored to have quarreled over an award years ago. Wren felt unease deepening as each line of the poem seemed to draw them closer to an inevitable, dark revelation. Jules couldn't shake the feeling that Callum's rival wanted them to find something, to uncover a twisted narrative of guilt. Alaric discovered that Callum had requested privacy from the inn's staff, hinting he might have feared his own end. They uncovered Callum's final note in his own handwriting: "When the ink bleeds, truth follows close," sparking new theories. Wren, Jules, and Alaric returned to the cabin, reading the poem again, searching for layers they'd missed before. As they decoded it, Wren realized the poem held coordinates, leading them to a hidden glen far from the cabin. At the glen, they discovered a stone Callum had often sat by, carved with initials, including those of his rival. Jules noted the markings looked recent, as if someone had carved them as a taunt or a confession. The words end of the line were etched beside the initials, a message seemingly left for them to find. Alaric grew wary, sensing they were on the brink of uncovering something the killer wanted to remain buried. Wren found herself standing exactly where Callum must have stood, feeling the haunting weight of his final days. In the silence, Jules whispered, "He knew his rival would come, he was waiting, yet he left us only riddles." Alaric recognized that Callum had left a literary trap, a maze of words meant to ensnare the guilty. The rival's jealousy had blinded him, leading him to alter the poem in a desperate attempt to frame another. Wren realized that Callum's death poem was both a confession and an accusation, leading them to the rival's identity. The final lines: "Ink conceals but never hides, in truth, he who writes his lies," pointed them directly to the rival. Alaric pieced it together, realizing Callum had anticipated his rival's move, leaving the true meaning for them to discover. They tracked the rival to a nearby city, where he had been hiding, confident that he'd covered his tracks. Confronting him, Alaric revealed the coded message that exposed the rival's hand in Callum's death. In shock, the rival admitted to altering the poem, intending to lead them astray, but he hadn't anticipated Callum's foresight. Wren looked into the rival's eyes, seeing the madness born from envy, the obsession that had finally consumed him. Jules felt a twisted satisfaction as the rival was led away, the literary world freed from his toxic influence. Alaric quietly closed the case, pondering the strange world of words and their ability to unveil dark truths. The village returned to its quiet solitude, the cabin now a legend, haunted by Callum's final verses. Wren carried Callum's last poem, a testament to the thin line between genius and madness, a riddle finally solved. And so, the dead poet's final masterpiece became his legacy, a testament to the enduring power of words, and their danger.